Some experimental changes have finally happened with Darker, including a new normal leaderboard system, which is quite interesting. Congratulations to Georgie for leading the pack, but today we're going to talk a little bit about the build that I've been loving in that mode. So, before we get to the build and all my thoughts on it, let's just show it in action. And yes, you saw that correctly. That was a Victory Strike Windlass bolt to the chest, which now has this lizard backing off with his tail between his legs. A little surprised he hit me with that one, but we can counter quite quickly, considering we have decent action speed on this Slayer setup. We killed him before he could even finish his drink. So, what's the damage? Damage is not bad, considering that's 20 weapon damage, hand crossbow, and a 51 weapon damage Windlass. Now, sure, the Windlass, you need to get Victory Strike going in order to get that 90 plus damage, but you can get to 97 damage on a 52 damage common Windlass, and it is so good at being a setup shot for your fight. It just, the damage combined between both weapons, and the fact that you have such good action speed on your hand crossbow allows you to reload it quickly. And sure, I'm almost certain there are more optimum builds out there, but if you're just trying to have fun in normals and just delete people with Victory Strike, this is the time to do it. Most classes have very little PDR, if any, and their HP pool is quite shallow. So even if you have to force yourself to land body shots with a Victory Strike, it's going to have them backpedaling or pretty much within one tap range of your arming sword. I will say this, I think Slayer Fighter in normals is just a bit crazy. Movement speed plus 7 weapon damage with sword mastery. The action speed you get on your weapon swings is just unmatched. No other class can build that type of action speed, and we'll talk a little bit more about this when I show you guys some of the gear. I just wanted to show you first what you can expect to experience. And I do see a lot of other Slayers out there, but I was finding I could punish them quite easily with my hand crossbow. Let's just say I do land a headshot with a hand crossbow, dealing close to 40 damage. That is essentially the entire HP recovery you're going to get from Second Wind with one hand crossbow shot. And you can do that repeatedly over the entire fight while still having your melee weapon out. In this situation, we almost get jumped by this guy, but luckily, crossbow bolt to the chest, nearly followed up with a Windlass. Would have had him very, very much in one-tap range. Sure, we took a hit, but truthfully, that hand crossbow might have saved our ass because the movement speed debuff it applied that sprinting Slayer Fighter. And now, before I can get this thing reloaded, I do hear some steps. And sure enough, we have a plate fighter eager to get involved. I won't lie, sometimes the hand crossbow fires at some crazy angles, and the projectile comes from like the bottom left of your screen. It can be very weird where that bolt goes sometimes. But it can also be very difficult to get your Windlass reloaded in between fights, and it is pretty crucial considering I'm using Victory Strike. I'll only really add maybe 10, I think it's like 10 damage to a headshot on my arming sword, but on my Windlass it's adding like 20 plus damage, I think. And in this situation, he gives us a perfect opportunity. Well, Windlass, Victory Strike, boom, into the chest. Now he's low. I missed my first swing, making mistakes in this, but with my action speed, with the damage before the fight even started, we just win. Even making mistakes, like we missed our first swing, backed up a little too far and didn't get away from his swing, and we still won. So let's talk about a little bit of my strategy for this. Yes, I'm running arming sword simply because movement speed is a problem, because hand crossbow is also minus 20. You don't want to be going insanely slow. And then I try to prioritize vigor across the board. And the reason for this is simply because 110 HP feels like you're getting that a little bit of an edge. Your movement speed is okay, and that's why I do the agility pants. It is changing my movement speed by like 10. And really you're not getting a whole lot more HP from those heavy leather leggings. You could run padded leggings, might reduce some of the movement speed penalty. Wouldn't be a bad option, but truthfully, I'm okay with the agility pants. They're often in the shop for some reason. And then you could go padded tunic, but you're only going to get like 2% physical power bonus. It might increase your Windlass shot a little bit, but really adventurer tunic is probably fine. Sure, your light and it's going to reduce your PDR by like a couple percentage points. That's not going to really matter in the grand scheme of things. My goal is to get over 110 HP and keep my movement speed as high as possible. You could run Lightfoot boots. That's also a good option. But essentially this stuff was very easy to put together. And really, dexterity isn't really that necessary considering we're using crossbows. Maybe reload them a little bit quicker. The only time I'd run a full dexterity kit on a Slayer fighter in normals would be if I was doing like longbow or recurve bow, or something where I really felt that action speed. And you might be able to get it to like 8 or 10%. That's when I feel like the longbow is starting to hit a little different. It just feels so much nicer. So I'm not really worried about dexterity at all. It's literally just HP, movement speed, and damage from Slayer. And dual wield gives you all that action speed that you need. You're hitting close to 60 damage per arming sword swing. There's not going to be too many classes in normals that have a crazy high HP pool or crazy high PDR. And even still, you have ways to deal with armor because of the weapons you're using. So Victory Strike is just fun. I mean, obviously you can take this build and not run Victory Strike and probably be fairly successful as well. I just love, and it's really hard to find, those moments where you kill someone with Victory Strike. I don't have it here. I wish I could share one with you. But it's like draining the life out of an individual, like a poor rogue, where you just headshot him for 97 damage as he's looting this little chest in the corner of a room. It's the most satisfying thing in the world. One thing you have to be careful of. You are using two weapons, slowing you down to -40. It will slow you down. You need to be very, very cautious. I got way too aggressive just because I wanted to land a Windlass strike on that guy. And I was getting more and more ballsy with this because I think it was like 3 or 4 games where it just didn't die. So normals is a ton of fun. This build, even if you miss the Windlass strike as you're about to see, you always have the old faithful hand crossbow to harass and poke players with. A little crossbow bolt pegged into their leg, or their head in this situation, can go a long ways. And we end up getting 2 nice headshots on this guy. Just the perfect moment as that mob pushes him. I was really thinking he was just going to run into the blue, so I give this guy a lot of props because he was committing to this fight, and I was all for it. I went into these lobbies looking for PvP only, and boy did we find it. Like I said, perfect of this mob getting his way. I thought this man would die super quickly after taking all those hits, and to my surprise, 1 headshot was not enough. We sort of took a little pause and then had to smash him again because I did not expect this man to live that long. Normals is just very dangerous. You don't have a lot of HP, you don't have a lot of PDR, and everyone is kind of on this weird equal playing field, which I very much enjoy. So I'm curious if you guys are going to be playing normals now that we have this bit of pause. And just one little final moment to finish this one off. Once again, using our hand crossbow and our windlass, we're going to do everything we can to deal range damage to this guy before getting into melee range. And once you hit that windlass shot, it's game on. The other nice thing is you can take throwing knives if you can't buy Franciscas consistently. Always handy to have throwing knives. I didn't have in this situation, but Weapon Master allows you to use everything. And boom, 2 hits, 4 ranger. We win again. So, thank you all very much. I have never asked you guys to subscribe, but if you want to, cool. I'll see you guys on the next video. Enjoy this experimental period and this fun little dopamine hit that is Windlass Victory Strike.